Hello and welcome to the International Soccer Preview by Soccer Files Canada. I'm Kevin and we are continuing our ambitious look at the African Cup 2021 teams. We're trying to do all 24 teams here, a look at their players. And today we are looking at the Ivory Coast, or the Elephants, as you see. YouTube watchers will see the little statue of an elephant behind me. All right, and the way we do this is we look at the players, their participation, particularly over the last year, and put them into categories of their likelihood of playing. So whether they look like definite or likely or possible or seem to be off the team. And then we actually check the lineup that's been published and see if our predictions are right. So we do this position by position, even though we're aware that players don't always stick to the position that they are coded at. And just on a quick note, if you would like to just get a summary of this, you can go to the last 3 or so minutes, and we run through the players that we think are going to be starters. So YouTube watchers can see our simple graphic with a list of the names, and audio listeners will probably just get the starters, or the players we think who are going to be starters in that kind of summary at the end. Otherwise, we will try to repeat names at least 3 times to help you familiarize yourself with them. And we hope you enjoy this introduction. So let's go, beginning with the manager of Ivory Coast, Patrice Baumel. So Patrice Baumel has been with the Ivory Coast national team since 2020, and he was with the Zambia national team when they won the African Cup in 2013. In fact, he was an assistant manager, I should say, there. And in fact, he mostly has worked as an assistant manager under the renowned international manager Hervé Renard. But now he is the main man managing Ivory Coast. Okay, let's move on to goalkeepers. Sylvain, I never know how to say this name. Sylvain Gabohu. Forgive me for that butchering of his name. Sylvain Gabohu actually played 9 of their games in 2021 and was on the bench for 1 other. So he's a definite candidate. However, I have to move him to the injured list here. Although he's not injured, he is suspended. So he was apparently tested for an illegal substance in November, and the suspension came through shortly before the Cup. So he actually won't be on the team. He was the starting goalkeeper in 2015, 2017, and 2019. So that will be a big miss for them. The 33-year-old Sylvain Gabohu. I'm just going to let it go. Okay, so maybe the starter then will be Alibaba Sanger, who we had as a likely candidate, but of course he'll maybe move up there. Badra Ali Sanger played 1 of their games in 2021, but he was on the bench for 8 others. So backup keeper is he. So he's actually 35 years old, and he's been with Ivory Coast since 2019, but he just has 17 caps in that time. That's because he's been the backup keeper all along in 2013, 17, and 19. He was the backup keeper for Ivory Coast at the African Cup. He's currently with JDR Stars in South Korea. In South Africa. And he was with Free State Stars in South Africa before that. Okay, and then we had 2 candidates who we had as possible. The first one was Abdul Karim Cisse. So he didn't play any of their games in 2021, but he did return after an 11-month absence to appear on the bench for their last 4 matches. So he'll probably be there at least as a backup keeper. He wasn't selected in the 2017 African Cup and was selected for the preliminary squad in 2019, but didn't make the final cut. So he is currently playing for Mimosas, ASEC Mimosas in Ivory Coast, probably their biggest club there. And finally, we have Ira Alieza Taffy as a possible candidate. He didn't play any of their games in 2021 either, but he was on the bench for 4 games. However, he was not selected for the last 4 games. So it looked like Abdul Karim Cisse was in and Ira Alieza Taffy was out. He was the backup. He was a backup keeper in 2019, probably the 3rd string keeper there. And he plays for San Pedro in Ivory Coast. He's 24 years old, but he doesn't have any caps, even though he first appeared on the bench in 2019. So we have those players. And as we said, Sylvain Gbohu is out with a suspension, but Badra Ali Sanger is selected, and I imagine he's going to be the starter. And the other 2 are also selected, Abdul Karim Cisse and Ira Alieza Taffy. Look like they'll be the backup keepers there. Okay, so let's move on to defenders, and we'll begin with central defenders. Players coded as central defenders, starting with Willie Bali. Willie Bali has played 9 of their 10 games in 2021 and was not selected for one other. And he scored 1 of their 11 goals in qualifying. He has only been with the team since 2020, even though he's 30 years old. And in that time, he's earned 7 caps. He's with Wolverhampton Wanderers in England since 2018, and he was with Porto before that. He also played in France and was born in France. However, I do believe he is coming in slightly injured. I think recovering enough that they named him to the preliminary squad there, but I'm not sure he'll be a starter. But anyway, that's the second part of this discussion. Because actually, I'm not even sure if he was named to the team. I just know that he is a bit of an injury doubt. Otherwise, he's a definite candidate. I'll put him down in injured because I think he may be. Ismail Treyore is our next candidate, and we consider him definite. He played 9 of their 10 games in 2021 and was on the bench for the last game. He's 35 years old and has been with the team since 2012 and has earned 19 caps. So he hasn't been a starter for a lot of that time. He was a bench player in 2013 and just played a B team game. And then he wasn't selected. Actually, he was off the team for 4.5 years before 2017, but he didn't make the 2017 Cup either. However, he was a starter in the 2019 African Cup, and we saw he's played a lot of games in 2021. So he looks like he's worked his way into a starting position. He plays for Angers in France. Next, we consider likely Eric Bailly. So Eric Bailly has played 5 of their 10 games in 2021 and was on the bench for 2 others. And he is 27 years old, been with the team since 2015 and has 41 caps and 2 goals. And he's been with Manchester United in England, not always a starter there, but he's been there since 2016 and was with Villarreal in Spain before that. So he was a starter in the 2015 African Cup and the 2017 version. However, in 2019, he had a knee injury that ruled him out from participating. And as we said, he's played 5 of 10 games, so doesn't seem a regular starter for Ivory Coast, but we consider him likely. Next is Odilon Kosunu. Odilon Kosunu played 7 of their 10 games in 2021, was not selected for 3 others, and he's new to the squad since 2020. Actually, he is 20 years old and has 11 caps, so that's pretty good for such a young player. He's with Bayer Leverkusen in Germany, so a pretty big club there, and we consider him a likely candidate. So they have lots to choose from here. We have one more possible candidate in Sonali Diomande. Sonali Diomande played 5 of their 10 games in 2021, and he was on the bench for the last 3. So, yeah, actually very possible there. He plays for Lyon in France, and he's also 20 years old. And similar to Odilon Kosunu, he's been on the team since 2020 and has 9 caps. So actually, I consider him a little bit more likely than Odilon Kosunu, so I'm going to move him up to likely. Both of them played quite a bit there. And then a couple of names that are a bit more doubtful. Simon Daly. Simon Daly played the first 2 of their 10 games in 2021, but he wasn't selected for the last 8. So he is 30 years old. Well, I won't go into a lot of detail on him, except to say that he has never really made it into the squad fully at the tournament level. He was subbed in 2017 and selected for the preliminary squad in 2019, but didn't make the final cut. So we'll come back to him if he's selected. Also, somewhat surprisingly, Wilfred Cannon, the 28-year-old Wilfred Cannon, played 3 of their 10 games in 2021, but was not selected for the last 6. So, although, well, we have him listed as possible, but not likely. But you would think they would use him if he's available, because he's a fairly big name for them. He's 28 years old and has 52 caps and 3 goals since his first cap in 2015. And he plays for Pyramids in Egypt. He was a starter in 2015 and 2017. And let me see. Also in 2019, but he did have a hamstring injury in Game 5. So I believe he was out after that. Well, they actually lost Game 5, so there was no Game 6 to check. Okay, let's go to the list and see which one of these made it. And Willie Bali looks like he has overcome that injury, so he is selected. But surprisingly, Ismail Treyore, our other definite candidate, is not selected. Eric Bailly is selected, as is Odilon Kosunu. However, even though I moved Sonali Diomande up to likely, he was not selected. However, the 2 possible but unlikely ones were both selected, Simon Daly and Wilfred Cannon. Now, I don't know why Wilfred Cannon has played so few games, but I think because he's on the squad, I would view him as a starter. And also Willie Bali, if he's fit, I think he would be a starter. And Eric Bailly also a starter. So I think those 3 are all starters, whereas Odilon Kosunu and Simon Daly I'm putting as substitutes, with no great confidence there, but just based on what we see. Okay, let's turn our attention to left backs and Hassan Camara. Including his first cap in June, he played 5 of their remaining 8 games and was on the bench for 2 of those. So that makes him seem a likely candidate. Even though he's 27 years old, he's new to the squad since 2021, and those 5 caps are his total number of caps. So he plays for Nice in France. And actually, I should go back and give a little detail on Simon Daly and Wilfred Cannon in terms of their clubs. So Simon Daly plays for Adana Demirspor in Turkey and was with Club Bruges in Belgium before that. And I did say Wilfred Cannon was with Pyramids in Egypt. All right, let's go back to left backs. And so Hassan Camara, a likely candidate, and Ghislaine Konan, we consider a possible candidate. He played 2 of their 10 games in 2021 and was on the bench for one other. So not very likely, but possible. He's 26 years old and has 13 caps since his first in 2017, and he's with Stade Reims in France. He's never played in a tournament, though he wasn't even on the preliminary squad for 2019. Okay, and we'll just throw out the name Kalpi Ouattara. So we have him as possible but unlikely, and we'll come back to him if he's selected. And then some players who seem to be on the way out. Wanlo Koulibaly last appeared for the national team in November 2019, but he was a starter in the 2019 African Cup, so hasn't played since November of that year. And Souleymane Doumbia was a substitute in 2019, but he hasn't played since October of that year. So we'll come back to them if they're selected. And now let's check. Okay, well, our likely candidate, Hassan Camara, did not make the squad, but our possible candidate, Ghislaine Konan, did. So we'll put him as a starter because he's the only one in that position who actually made the squad. But it could be that somebody playing out of position could play that position. Actually, it seems that way. In qualifying because he did only play 2 of their 10 games. So anyway, Kalpi Ouattara, Wanlo Koulibaly, and Souleymane Doumbia were not selected. All right, let's move on to the right backs. And we have Serge Aurier as a definite candidate. He played 8 of their 10 games in 2021 and was on the bench for one of those. And he scored 2 of their 11 goals in qualifying. So he is 29 years old now, and he has been with the team since 2013 and has an impressive 74 caps and 3 goals. I have him as a captain, but I thought Siri Daye was the captain. So maybe he plays the role of captain sometimes. So again, I have him as captain in the 2019 African Cup, where he started games 1 and 2, but then got injured 69 minutes into game 2 and was no longer available to play. He was also a starter in the 2014 World Cup and in the 2015 and 17 African Cups. So one of their key players there. Possible but unlikely is Wilfred Single. The 20-year-old had his first cap in June and played 2 games, but he wasn't selected after that. And finally, Mamadou Bagayoko seems to be off the squad. He's only ever been a kind of a substitute in tournaments, so in 2017 and 2019, and he last appeared on the bench in October 2019. So we'll give more details if he's selected, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And let's look at the roster and see who made it. Of course, Serge Aurier is selected and will be a starter, I would guess. And Wilfred Single and Mamadou Bagayoko were not selected. So only one selection in that position. But maybe someone, if they need a backup, some out-of-position player will come over and play. All right, well, that completes the defense, and we will move on to midfielders. And the defensive midfielder I've already mentioned is Serge Aurier. So Serge Aurier is just possible here because he played 3 of their 10 games in 2021 and was on the bench for 6. Was on the bench for 6 and not selected for 1. So he's been around, but it looks like he's kind of being relegated to the bench. Perhaps that's because he's 37 years old. As I mentioned, he at least has been the captain of the team. He was in the 2017 African Cup. And he has 57 caps and 2 goals since 2013. So he's played in all the tournaments as a starter in the 2014 World Cup, where actually he earned a bit of notoriety because he was sobbing, quite emotional during the anthem at the start of Game 2. In the 2015 African Cup, and 17 and 19, he was a starter. So he's been a starter until now, but now seems to have been used more as a substitute. So also at the possible level is Hamid Mega. Hamid Mega played 4 of their 10 games in 2021, and he was on the bench for 1 other. But he wasn't selected for the last game. So he's 25 years old, but has just been with the team since 2019 with 11 caps, and he plays for Metz in France. And then a few names to throw out, and we'll come back to if they're selected, but Fousseni Koulibaly and Ismail Soro are possible but not likely. And Ismail Diomande seems to be off the squad. So again, we'll come back and say more. Ismail Diomande actually wasn't in the last 2 tournaments, but was selected to play in March 2019. But that's the last time he played for the squad. Okay, let's see among those defensive midfielders. So no surprise that Serge Aurier was selected. And Hamid Mega also are 2 possible candidates there, were selected, but none of the others were. So we will move on to central midfielders, but forgive me, I have to have a sip of water. All right, I am hydroed. Central midfielders, we have Danielle Acro, who we consider a likely candidate. So Danielle Acro played 2 of their games in 2021, but was on the bench for 6 others, including the last 4. So not a starter, it seems, but has been with the team for a lot of the games in 2021. He's 29 years old and has 17 caps since 2014, and he plays for Lazio in Italy. He was born in France. And he was selected for the 2014 World Cup and the 2015 African Cup, but he didn't see action in either of those tournaments. He just was on the bench and doesn't seem to have been a consideration for any of the tournaments since then, but perhaps has come back into the team since then. Just one more name here, Seko Fofana, although he seems to be off the team. So Seko Fofana last appeared in November 2019. He plays for Lens in France, but honestly, I'm not sure why he's on the list. I guess I chose players who'd played from 2019 onwards. So there we go. Let's just check quickly with the central midfielders. So Jean-Daniel Acro was selected, and he only played 2 of their games there in 2021, so I'm going to put him as a substitute. He seems to be more of a bench player. Now, moving on to right midfielders. Left midfielders. Actually, we have no players coded as left midfielders. We do have some left wingers who we'll get to shortly. But right midfielders, we have Frank Cassie, and we consider him definite. He played 8 of their 10 games in 2021, but he was injured for 2 others. He scored 3 of their goals in qualifying. All of them were on penalties, but it was enough to make him the top scorer for the team. He is 25 years old and has 52 caps and 5 goals, so not a big scorer, except for the 2021 year. And he's been on the team since 2014. However, he didn't make the World Cup in 2014. And for 2015, he was not selected, which was a bit of a surprise. He had received a red card in qualifying, and he had played some qualifying games, but not selected. However, he was a starter in 2017 and in 2019. All right, so he's the only candidate at right midfield, and we'll just check and quickly see if he made it. And as expected, he is selected for the squad, and I would guess as a starter too. Let's move over to the left wing, and we have Allen Griddell. Allen Griddell played 9 of their 10 games in 2021 and was on the bench for the others, so he looks like a definite candidate. He's 34 years old now, a real veteran since 2011. He has 91 caps and 15 goals. And he currently plays for Sivasspor in Turkey, but he played for Toulouse in France and Bournemouth in England from 2015 to 18. And he's also played for Leeds and Leicester in England as well. So he has been around for a long time, but hasn't always been a starter. He actually was there in 2012, but just on the bench. He came in for a B-team game. He was a starter in 2013. However, he lost his starting position after subbing out of game 1 at 59 minutes. Always a bit insulting to be subbed out before the hour mark. 2014, again, just on the bench as in 2015. However, he gained a starting position in that tournament. But he was a sub again in 2017 and a starter in 2019, but didn't finish all games. So he's never really been fully a starter for the squad. Okay, we move on to Maxwell Cornet, and he actually seems more of a forward in my mind, but he's coded primarily as a left winger. So we consider him likely played 3 of their 10 games in 2021, including the first 2, and was on the bench for 2. Actually, that makes him seem more possible than likely, but we'll stick with it because I think he's fairly hot right now. So that may increase his chances. He's 25 years old and has been with the team since 2017, and he has 25 caps and 6 goals. And he's with Burnley in England. I believe he's their most expensive purchase ever. He came from Lyon in France, and but actually hasn't really been involved in tournaments. He wasn't selected for the 2017 African Cup, and he was just a sub in 2019. So we'll see if he's a starter here, because as I said, he seems to be a bit of a hot property right now. But I'll put him as a sub because he's never fully been a starter, even in 2021 there. Okay, moving on, we have Jean-Évrard Kouassi. Oh, hang on, I don't know that Cornell actually made the squad yet, so we'll wait on that. Jean-Évrard Kouassi earned his first cap in March and played 6 of their remaining 10 games in 2021 and was on the bench for one other. So he's new to the squad, as I just said, 27 years old, so joined the squad a bit late. And he's with Wuhan in China since 2017, and he was with another club in China before that. So he must be doing well in China because he seems to have made his way into the squad this year. Okay, and then a couple of other candidates. Junior Lago at the possible level. So he played 2 of their 10 games in 2021 and was on the bench for 6 others. He's 31 years old, though, and joined the team just in 2020, so a latecomer there. He has 5 caps and no goals, and he's currently with Mallorca in Spain. He's been there since 2016, so another player who seems to have just come into the picture. And a player we thought was kind of going out of the picture, but surprisingly showed up, a member of the golden generation. Gervinho has been playing for the squad. I was quite surprised. So I won't go into great detail because not only is he unlikely, but he's also injured, listed as with a cruciate ligament rupture in December 2021. So those take a long time to recover from. But, you know, I could regale you with his long history. He's been with the team since 2007 and has been involved in most of the tournaments there. So a flashback to the golden generation there. And I'm just trying to... The last time he played was he played 2 of their 10 games in 2021, so a bit surprising there. He's actually only 34 years old, so a bit younger than one might think. And we're just going to tack on right wingers here because we only have one candidate in Amad Diallo, and he earned his first cap in March and played 3 of their remaining 10 games in 2021, but he was injured for 3 games too. So we'll put him as a possible candidate at the right winger level. At the right winger position, and he's the only player listed as a right winger. So we have a lot of left wingers, but just the one right winger. Let's see who made the squad. So our definite candidate, Max Allen Griddell, has made the squad. And that will probably be his last cup since he's 34 years old. But Maxwell Cornet, we had him as likely, and he did make the squad. And so did Jean-Évrard Kouassi make the squad. But I'm sad that Gervinho didn't make the squad, but there were a few things working against him there. And Junior Lago didn't make the squad, and nor did the possible right winger Amad Diallo. So um, that's all we had. So it kind of looks like Ivory Coast is overloaded in some positions, like this one, and thin in other positions, like left midfield. Well, I guess left wingers make up for the left midfielders, but on the right wing, they only seem to have Frank Cassie. In terms of starters, it looks like Allen Griddell would be a starter. I'm going to put Cornet as a maybe because I have the feeling because he's in good form that he may be starting, and I'm going to put Jean-Philippe Cabane as a substitute. But that's just a kind of more of a prediction than a statement. Okay, let's move on to attacking midfielders, and we begin with Ibrahim Sanger, or Sangare. And he is a definite candidate because he played 9 of their 10 games in 2021. He's 24 years old and has been with the team since 2015 and has 17 caps and 3 goals. So he plays for PSV Eindhoven in Netherlands. Okay, next is Nicolas Pepe. I have him as a right attacking midfielder. I think that's my own designation there. But he is a possible candidate. Fans of the EPL will know that he hasn't really made his way into Arsenal the way they hoped. For Ivory Coast, he played 4 of their 10 games in 2021. That was the first game in the last 3, so he seemed to be off the squad in the middle there. And as I mentioned, he plays for Arsenal. He's 26 years old and has been with the team since 2016 with 28 caps and 6 goals. So he's a bigger player for Ivory Coast than he is for Arsenal. He was with Lille in France before that. And he was part of the 2017 African Cup squad, but he was on the bench and saw no action. So he really came into prominence in the 2019 African Cup, actually just starting 3 of their 5 games. But he was coming off an excellent season for Lille, and he made a good impression in game 1. But otherwise, he didn't really show great form in this tournament. So I thought I had remembered him being really impressive in one tournament, but I don't see it here. Okay, let's move on to Jean-Michel Seri. So Jean-Michel Seri has played 4, including the last 3 of their 10 games in 2021. But he wasn't selected for 6 games. He's 30 years old, and since 2015, he has 34 caps and 3 goals. And he currently plays for Fulham in England, but was loaned to some pretty big clubs, Bordeaux in France and Galatasaray in Turkey. So he wasn't selected for the 2014 World Cup or the 2015 African Cup. But he was a starter in 2017, but he was subbed out at 66 minutes of game 1 and lost his starting position, so only played as a sub. And same in 2019, he started games 1 and 2, but then he seemed to have been relegated to the bench because he didn't appear after that. Okay, other possible candidate is Hamid Treyori. So Hamid Treyori is 21 years old, and he got his first appearance on the bench in September 2021, and then went on to play 3 of their remaining 6 games, the World Cup qualifying games, and he was on the bench for the 3 others, so he seems to be there, and he plays for Sassuolo in Italy. Jeremy Boga is our last possible candidate, our last candidate at the possible level. And Jeremy Boga played 6 of their 10 games, but he was injured for the last 2. So he's a bit of an injury doubt. I'm actually going to move him down to injury doubt there. He's 24 years, he is 24 years old, and also, like Hamid Treyori, plays for Sassuolo in Italy. And then we have a couple of names that seem to be off the team. I'll be brief with Victorian Angban, because he was only ever a sub in the 2019 and 2017 African Cups, and he didn't see any action. And Jean-Philippe Cabane, I never know how to say it when the name begins with a G and then a B. So I'm hoping some Ivorian will email me and teach me. Okay, Jean-Philippe Cabane was only involved in the 2019 African Cup, and he was on the bench there, but gained a start for games 3 and 4. But anyway, he last appeared in that 2019 African Cup. Victoria Angban lasted a bit more than that until November 2019, but that's the last time he appeared. So let's take a look and see which attacking midfielders made it. And quite a lot of them, actually, are definite candidate. Ibrahim Sangare made it, and Nicolas Pepe, Jean-Michel Seri, and Hamid Treyori, all of them made it to the final squad. And even Jeremy Boga, our injury doubt there, made the squad. But Victorian Angban and Jean-Philippe Cabane seem to be off the squad now. So let's move to our final position, the forwards, and we begin with Sebastian Hilaire. Sebastian Hilaire played 6 of their 10 games in 2021, but actually was out with coronavirus for the first 2 of those, and he was not selected for 2 others. But again, we mentioned Maxwell Cornell in good form. So is Sebastian Hilaire in the Champions League. I believe he's the top scorer in the Champions League this season. So doing very well for Ajax in the Netherlands. He didn't do so well when he was with West Ham in England for 2 years, but seems to have found his form now. So he's 27 years old and has just been with the team since 2020, but he has 8 caps and 3 goals. So he scored 1 of their goals in the qualifying for this tournament. Next is Johan Bali. So Johan Bali is a possible candidate here. He played 3 of their 10 games in 2021 and was on the bench for 1 of those. And he is 28 years old and has 10 caps since 2010, but he hasn't made it to any tournaments. So definitely on the fringes there, but a bit more consistent in 2021 in terms of participation. The next possible candidate is Wilford Zaha, and a lot of people will view him as a winger. He played for Cardiff for 1 year when they were in the Premier League. He was loaned from Manchester United, and I have a Cardiff Cup for those of you who are watching YouTube. But plays a bit of a different role, I do believe, for Ivory Coast. So he's listed as a forward here, and I think that is actually where the position in my mind that he has for Ivory Coast, a bit less of a winger than he is as a club player. But anyway, he only played 3 of their 10 games in 2021 and was not selected for 7 of them, including the last 2. So that may be a bit of a travel issue, but I think most Ivorian players play in Europe, so they would have the same thing. So just not being selected that much. He's 29 years old now, and he's been with Ivory Coast since 2017 after he kind of gave up trying to get onto the England squad. He actually did have 2 caps for England in 2012 and 13, but couldn't break into the team there. He now has 21 caps and 5 goals for Ivory Coast and is with Crystal Palace in England for a long time now, since 2015. So he, for the World Cup 2014, he was disappointed to be not selected for England after an excellent season in 2012 and 13. Saw him, I believe that was with Crystal Palace, saw him bought by Manchester United. So he was disappointed and switched his allegiance to Ivory Coast and was a starter in the 2017 African Cup. And in 2019, he was actually a sub in game 1 and earned a starting position after that. So, yes, I find Ivory Coast doesn't seem to, he hasn't fully become a starter for Ivory Coast yet. So if he's selected, I think I would see him as starting on the bench, but maybe working his way into a starting position as he did in 2019. But we have 2 players who are possible, or several players who are possible but unlikely. So I'll just list them. Frank Bali, I won't talk much about him, but I'll come back if he's selected. Jonathan Kodjia, though, is a bit of a bigger name for Ivory Coast. He was a starter in 2017 and 2019. But he only played the first 2 games in 2021 and was not selected after that. So Jonathan Kodjia, again, will come back if he's selected. Kareem Ko Konate, another name. He's just 17 years old, but his name has popped up. Christian Kouame is 24 years old, and he played 2 of their 10 games in 2021. But not selected for the last 6. So again, we'll come back if he's selected. And then 2 players who seem to be off the team. Roger Assail, never fully kind of got onto the team in terms of being a starter. He was a sub in 2015 and in 2019. But not selected in 2017, and last appeared for the team in November 2019. And finally, Juma Saeed last appeared in November 2020. So that's why he's on my list, but he doesn't seem to be on their list, as it were, because he's not being selected. So let's see who made it. And we have the definite candidate. Was he definite? Sebastian Hilaire? No, he was likely, but he made it. Johan Bali and Wilford Zaha both made it. We had them as possible candidates. And among the unlikely candidates, there are 2 who made it. So Kareem Ko Konate and Christian Kouame both made it. But Roger Assail and Juma Saeed did not make it. So let's go back and give a bit more detail on those 2 possible candidates, or 2 unlikely candidates who made it. So Kareem Ko Konate, as I said, was 17 years old. So they're bringing him into the squad. He had his first cap was in September, and he played 2 of the 6 games in the World Cup qualifiers, but wasn't selected for the last 3. So that's why I considered him unlikely. But it'll be interesting to see how the 17-year-old does if he manages to make it onto the field. I very much imagine he'll be a substitute. And Christian Kouame, again, played 2 of their games in 2021 He's with Fiorentina in Italy, and he's out on loan to Anderlecht in Belgium, and he's been with the team since 2019 and has 10 caps. So he made it. I would guess he'll be on the bench. I talked about Wilfred Zaha as a bench player, and I suspect Johan Bali also will be a bench player. So I think the attacking midfielders are more likely, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Okay, let us now go through the lineup and look at the potential of the players who we think who are going to start. So, manager Patrice Boumel will be leading the team, and for goalkeepers, we think Badra Ali Sangare will be the starter since Sylvain Kabuhu is suspended, a big loss there for Ivory Coast. For central defenders, we believe it'll be Willie Bali if he's fit, Eric Bailly and Wilfred Cannon are the main candidates there. For left back, we're not sure because he was just a possible candidate, but Ghislaine Konan was the only one who was selected who are designated as left back. So Ghislaine Konan. And on the right back, almost certainly Serge Aurier will be the starter there. In the midfield, I'm going to put Siri Die as a maybe because he seems to be being used as a substitute more now, and Habib Baiga, possibly a starter, but more of a substitute at this point. For central midfielders, Jean-Daniel Acro, and I wonder if we'll list him as a maybe starter. Actually, I'm finding it a bit difficult to tell here. But on the right midfielder, we feel pretty sure that Frank Cassie and Maxwell and Griddell will be starters, and possibly Maxwell Cornell. But if Maxwell Cornet, but if all three of them do start, they'll probably be playing out of position, a couple of them. Among the attacking midfielders, we think Ibrahim Sangare will be a starter. But they have a lot of choices on the bench there. Same with the forward line. Sebastian Hilaire looks likely to be a starter. And maybe I'll put Wilford Zaha as a maybe because we don't seem to have enough starters selected here. But anyway, that's all speculation, and it could turn out very differently, especially with COVID. Some teams have to deal with COVID issues and make a lot of changes. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion of Ivory Coast. So we are the International Soccer Preview by Soccer Files Canada, and you can find us by searching Soccer Files. That's one word with a PH in the middle. And our website is soccerfiles.captivate.fm, and you can contact us if you want to at soccerfiles@gmail.com. All right, thanks so much for listening. And we hope you have enjoyed this introduction to Ivory Coast players. Bye-bye.